All right, you guys, welcome to the cast. My name is Privatitude here alongside with Ever. Sorry for the wait, but CEVO Season 4, Week 2 is now completely underway. This is going to be Vas'Avi going up against Top 5.
Give me just 1 second. Gotta adjust my game.
Oh, no worries. So this draft is just already taken off. The bans just flew out. We have Bristle as well as Timbersaw taken out, courtesy of Vas'Avi, and Invoker and Slark banned out from top 5. The picks so far is a Nyx scooped up right away. And top 5 go ahead with the AA and the Nature's Prophet. Can we say global so far ever? Pretty decent global out of top 5, and it's so good. AA so far, I think in CEVO we've seen him picked up first pick every single game, or at least first pick from at least one of the teams. So he's been such a huge force to be reckoned with. Nature's Prophet is going to combo with him with the global ultimates. Last Monday, actually, when we were casting, we did see a pretty fun global strategy. It was Nature's Prophet, Zeus, and then wasn't there one more hero? Included in that global. I can't remember who it was, but I think there was one more. But that was a pretty interesting game because all the globals went off, and then the other enemy team was at like 200 HP, and then you just had the actual heroes come in and just get them down for the rest of the HP and get some kills out of that.
10 seconds remaining.
All right, finally,
All
ready
right,
to go. My
everyone's good to
apologies.
go.
Yeah, I went to go adjust my audio, and for the first time in 4 months, my game decided to freeze up sporadically. Maybe I just had too much open in the background. I don't know. I just don't ever find when 16 gigs of RAM decides to freeze. But here nor there, we're finally here. I like what Profit and AA bring to the table in terms of global strategy, especially if you have a talented team enough to utilize AA to its full capacity. This leaves the door open for a lot of carry heroes to kind of slide through. And Vas'Avi, our first time casting them, as you mentioned, ban away Ember as well as Void, not wanting to see that make it on through. And top 5 continue to go into a very aggressive push posture. And it was funny. I was actually pubbing with MYM's manager last night, and he was very upset at push strategies because for some reason or another, his team has trouble dealing with them. And it seems to be common space now for a lot of teams to pick up on that when facing other teams that they relatively know. Because scrim circles are small in the community, regardless of what state of the game you're at, whether or not it's top tier or even low tier. You have your small circles like tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 teams that all participate, and therefore you get a lot of strength and weaknesses out of teams that, I mean, these main teams presumably have seen one another several times, if not in scrimmages in previous seasons, having been vouched at least for main due to either merits or previous seasons of CEVO. So I think it begs the question a lot of times, are these teams countering, or are they just comfortable in their posturing themselves into a push lineup? And it certainly seems like this is the second time we'll see top 5 going into a push lineup. Once before last week, I believe this time last week, what was it, Wednesday?
Uh-huh. I believe so, yeah. And it's, I think push strats are interesting because you have to play to your strengths, and if you're going for a push strat, you have to go all in with that push strat. And if you don't have a good late game carry and the enemy does, and they defend your push strat, then it gets really sketchy for you. So you do have to be kind of careful of that. But I mean, am I on being scared of push strategies? I think that's something that as they play more, they'll probably get more used to that and figure out, what kind of counters they can do for it and what heroes they're good at stopping pushes with as players, not as the heroes themselves that are good at stopping pushes. But I'm really excited to see this. I think the Slardar is a great pickup too, a hero that's getting some more competitive action in the scene, and I think he's just a solid hero. Of course, his stomp, the damage does go through BKB, which is nice. The stun will not. And then it's an AoE stun for anybody who's not BKB'd. And that's just really big for our team.
Venge actually gets banned out, and I'm not too sure how well positioned that necessarily was. We're looking for an additional support, presumably to take on the Slardar. Shadow Shaman would then be slotted into a mid lane role. And that looks to be the size of what top 5 is looking to do here. In terms of what you were saying and heroes that are going to counter push strategies, I think Tinker is one such hero that will indeed counter Nature's Prophet. The only other concern then becomes the Shadow Shaman, since March of the Machines will not take down the wards. And I think top 5 are justified in doing that instead of something like a Chen, which would provide an additional push element, though it would be subject to Tinker yet again, all in one fell swoop. So it's good to diversify. I like the way in which they've done it. Slardar, though, doesn't exactly go late game, and that kind of continues on the conversation you were saying. If push teams do not get their lineups correct and do not finish in time, then they open themselves up to a late game that a Tinker, for example, could easily take advantage of. Based on this, I would say Bat Rider could even be slotted towards mid. Tinker can take the off lane and actually farm up Ancients with said March of Machines. As long as he gets some experience, should be acceptable. They're going to be looking for their carry option, which is why you see the Lifestealer last ban out of top 5, with top 5 still stretching into reserve time here, looking for some sort of final support. Whether or not it be Enchantress and Chen is yet to be seen, but at least they have that Shadow Shaman element to fall back on. If they do go another push element, though, they would be all in to get this game done within 30 to 40 minutes maximum before opening themselves up to get punched in the face.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. I'm very excited to see these last 2 pickups for the team, especially Vas'Avi, because they do have to pick a really good, solid carry hero here. And Pugna, not only does that solidify their push, but it also stops and denies them from picking up Pugna on Vas'Avi's side. So I think that was a really solid pickup for top 5, because Pugna is hard to push into.
I think Pugna is just a good carry all around. Another element that isn't subject to March of the Machines, will push down towers, but I really think he is indeed a hard carry. He just does so much at the end of game. Life Drain being on pretty much no cooldown at that point. Nether Ward even early, but the Nether Blast AoE just dealing damage to towers, mowing down creep waves. It's going to make things very quick here. Though the only element we're missing is something like a level 1 Roche, but it's all right. They're on the Radiant side of the map, so that wouldn't be beneficial to go into. With Vas'Avi given one last opportunity to respond with a carry, I expect it to be an extremely hard carry element, in that they need to get a lot of farm on the Tinker. So this is going to be someone who also needs to be able to kind of synergize well with Maiden and Nyx, though. 2 heroes that set one another up, so I don't imagine much synergy being necessary. Based on heroes left in the pool, it could have been anything from AM as a hard carry option, but it looks like they actually choose to run with Naga Siren, which I kind of like against a push lineup. I find as a Prophet, it is rather difficult to push up against a Naga Siren that just illusions and is able to kind of AoE down your waves and stop any forward momentum beyond a tier 1 tower.
I especially like the Naga pickup because when you look at top 5's team and you think about their team fight, they're going to have the A ultimate that goes out and they're going to have the Shadow Shaman's wards that go out. If you pop your Naga Song ultimate and back out of that fight entirely, you're missing 2 ultimates. Sure, AA's ult comes back pretty quickly, but Shadow Shaman's ultimate doesn't. So if you can just avoid having to fight that at that moment, I think that's going to speak wonders for how well Vas'Avi can get into these fights and get out if they start going poorly.
All right, let's get down to some introduction, guys, as we get into game 1 of CEVO-Main. This is week 2, game number 2 for these teams, or I believe series number 2, however you want to refer to it as. Top 5 taking up your Radiant side with 2 heroes that I will not be able to read their names. So we have a Slardar, who I'm not going to bother. Symbol 1 and Symbol 2, I don't know their names. So Symbol 1, Slardar. Shanks on the Nature's Prophet off lane. Rasta going to be mid, that is Shadow Shaman, we'll just call him Rasta. Whatever on Ancient Apparition, and Fly taking up Pugna.
And on the dire side, we have VA. Tinker is going to be your mid lane hero, being played by Scar. Top lane, Bat Rider's up there, being played by Carson. Naga Siren getting played by Lycus, hanging out in mid lane, presumably going to go back to the top lane. It's going to be Crystal Maiden getting played by Flying Zebra, and finally, last but not least, Ryan Noob playing the Nyx Assassin. The game is now underway officially. Pugna is going to be going up against the Tinker in this lane, so Bat Rider is presumably going to be in the jungle for the time being, and Nyx will take up that off lane role. I think Ever muted his mic again, guys.
Oh, I'm talking. Yeah, no, sorry. All you have to do is say something in 2 seconds. I hit the button, and it's a very finicky button since I've got
That's
the
all right.
microphone. So, oh well. I was gonna say Sentry Ward placed up on the Ancient Hill, and maybe they expected that, so they're trying to shake it up already, anticipating that top 5 have a handle on what they're doing. Nyx in the off lane is not going to be able to get any experience unless this tri lane allows a lane to be pushed, but already you see Slardar doing some decent work to keep things back. Ob's Ward going to spot out Nyx, and again, Nyx push directly off the lane. Batrider in the jungle, though, is a good place to be, especially with CM, which is a surprisingly strong jungle hero. Already you see level 1 kind of taking down a Centaur, which I don't know any other support hero who would have the capacity to actually pull something like that off.
Yeah, that's true. I gotta say that I honestly really like how
Well,
Valve.
sorry, another 5 roll, 4 roll like Chen, sure.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say how I really like that. There's now the option for these support heroes to actually legitly jungle. Not only just Crystal Maiden, but now Sand King has that option as well. If you stack the camps and then just farm it with your Sandstorm, that's now a very viable option for him as well. So I like that, and I hope we start seeing more support heroes that have that option to do so. Because it's awesome when you get support heroes that have farm. I don't think anybody can deny that. Force Staffs, Blink Daggers, it's all fun, entertaining stuff.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
It's interesting to see how they're making such better use of the map currently than top 5. You see all of those heroes in lane draining away the experience that Slardar would be obtaining, and Nyx still not fully being zoned off the lane. He's gotten 72 experience to his name and won't get much more as far as these 2 supports are concerned, but at the same time, they're sitting rather stagnant while you have Naga on the other side of the map monopolizing almost just as much farm as a Slardar without that same level of support. If things like this continue, top 5 will have a much harder time pushing, not only because of the gold differential, but you're talking about a huge difference in experience earned and therefore less abilities in order to pressure towers. So they're going to need to kind of shake something up on this bottom lane within the next minute or so here, either get first blood or get out, because they are really draining their own resources rather dry.
I think they have all the means to get first blood down here, honestly, but it's gonna take Ryan to get out of position on his own. If he's hugging the tower like this successfully, they will either have to dive the tower, which could be really risky for them, or they're just going to have to wait till he gets out of position. And this ward is going to spot out any chance that they can get, and they might just have their chance now if they can get the Shadow Shaman or AA around, but they actually can. And I feel like Ryan might actually just be being a little too forward. It's such a risky lane for him to do that, and there's really not that much reward from it. Mike Ever. Alright, maybe you just stepped away for the computer for right now then.
No.
No, you're here? Alright.
No, of course. Yeah, no, it's, man, this is going to drive me crazy. It takes some getting used to. I apologize. It's my first week still with this microphone in
That's
specific. Right. But I was just saying, boots of speed on the Nyx Assassin it's got to be extremely frustrating up against this. There's nothing they can do to actually hold him still. It's got to be Shadow Shaman on top of him, and since Shadow Shaman is nowhere in the league or vicinity of getting boots, you're talking about Nyx kind of having his way right now with this particular lane. Again, they need to shake something up to get this going. Slardar is not going to be the element to provide a lockdown, and even if they do get close enough, he still has a very defensive impale he can use as long as it's placed correctly. Don't imagine him dying, as well as Carapace, one has to remember.
Pugna gets the invisibility rune, goes to the woods to see if he can possibly scout out a hurt Batrider or Crystal Maiden, and he's going to have no such luck here, unfortunately for him, so this is going to be a wasted trip for him. He does see a stack, though, so not entirely wasted. Going to steal a little bit of experience and gold here from the jungle. Might get run into by Crystal Maiden.
Oh my god.
Barely misses him, though.
Rasta goes to throw up his net right into a Carapace, so well timed by Ryan. I just can't even
That
believe
cast animation.
I know. He literally, the vocals went off right as the Carapace went off, and therefore didn't give him an opportunity. But Carapace is one of those things that you can kind of telegraph until you're in a safe spot, and he's so very quick in comparison at 350 move speed versus a roster who's
Crystal
sitting
Maiden's
at 285.
going to be in trouble, though. He might just get treated in here. No, there's no mana on Shanks. Actually, Shanks might be first blood. No, Crystal Maiden goes down just in time, but Shanks does pay for it with his own life in the process. But it's not a bad trade. You get the Crystal Maiden, you get first blood, you get that money. They do give Tinker a kill, which is a little upsetting, and that was a solo kill experience too, so that does pop him up to level 6, which is a little scary.
Yeah, level 6, 5.5 minutes into the game, not even really, and already 700 to his name. He's, I believe, crowing a bottle right now as well, so he's got a fairly good income going forward. And if he can get early boots of travel, it's going to make top five's job in pushing that much harder, as if it already wasn't hard enough on bottom. Again, another attempt right now on Ryan. There's the actual sheep up, but not going to be able to kind of follow it. So Hex gets burned, and again, no successful gank alternative. Slardar there to try and make something happen. He's still game leading in last hits, but at the same time, you have to wonder what they're going to be doing to try and shut Naga down. Naga is free farming. Shanks died over on that mid side, but he still really hasn't contested her at all, and she has the right at solo XP. Again, now Ryan way out of position. We'll see what happens here. Blows a carapace early. He should be concerned. Buys a port. Is going to get stunned one, if not two times. Yeah, he's definitely dead in this instance. Runs right back into 3 and finally goes down. Overstayed his welcome. Not sure what he was doing there. All he has to do is play carefully in this lane, and they'll just outright win it by a country mile.
I honestly thought he was going to eat through the trees here. He did have one tango still available, and although the support heroes were right here, yeah, the support heroes were right here, though. I mean, they maybe could have gotten there on time, but he does have boots, so he is going to be faster than them. Neither of the supports have boots
I think his thought process was that he was juking to eat the tree, and he didn't recognize that Slardar still had him in his sights, and thought he was going to fake a tree eat and go back down around the side and evade the CC. So it was probably his thought process. It wasn't that poor of a thought, but it looks like he's already spotted out in that tree pocket, and they want to have another go. So hard when sprint is a free ability by Slardar to speed him up, catch him up into a fighting posture, that really there's nothing that VA can do about that. They just have to sit way back and hope that Slardar doesn't get big. Gank forthcoming on mid. Scar in a whole lot of trouble. Shanks shows up, participates, and you have Shadow Shaman and Fly barely clinging on to life. Had they gone under the tower, there would have been no way they lived, but no TP support allows them to get a free pick off against VA and take a 3-1 lead right now.
I'm actually surprised that Ryan lasted so long on this bottom lane. He lasted about 7 seconds. So considering he's a Nyx, he's not the best hero to survive in these off lanes. He was even not playing that carefully. So I am surprised he lived that long. So I think he did a decent job still. His carapaces have been spot on so far, other than that very last one where he popped it just a little too soon. But I don't even think that was error on his part. I think it was just top 5 was very patient. They had learned from the past few times when he has popped the spiked carapace, so they knew to wait, let him pop it, and then go for the kill, and they did manage to get him in that instance. In the mid river, though, Crystal Maiden gets picked off by Fly. Very easy kill for the Pugna.
He was in Viz, so not much CM could do to spot it out. No vision on the bot side, plenty on the top in order to protect Carson, who is a large jungle investment, already level 6 on his person, nearing his Blink Dagger. At the same time, Naga free farm has propelled her to 2,300, and Shank's not going to be able to do almost anything to her. If she desires to push the tower down, it's going to have to be a fully fledged response. If not, she's going to be able to rip that down and get a Radiance, which looks to be the build that she is going early on, just 9 minutes in, and nearing at least within the vicinity of grabbing a relic. I mean, she's at 2,300, needs another 1,400 right here.
Yeah, it's pretty close. For all of VA, actually, they've done a really good job spreading out their heroes and just getting the optimal farm and experience that they can possible. I mean, Tinker stayed in the mid lane the whole time. You've had 2 people in the jungle who haven't really been colliding, and as a result of that, Batrider does have enough for that Blink Dagger now as well. So once he does pick that up and maybe some boots on top of that, we're going to see some decent rotations come from him, and that's going to give VA some possibilities to get the score evened back up.
I don't know if you noticed this. At the same time, Slardar went for a very aggressive Blink Dagger. He has treads, but the problem I have with this is with Tinker so very close to grabbing a Blink Dagger of his own, you have to wonder, or excuse me, Boots of Travel of his own, you have to wonder when he shows up and throws up his actual laser for the miss percentage, and excuse me, as Ryan just gets completely initiated on. AA not going to get locked down. Port forthcoming. Carson now in a lot of trouble, blinks away by the skin of his teeth. 4 here on bot lane, pressuring down, and now The response coming out of VA, CM also ports, and they're just going to take down these profit ends. But the point to be made was that once Tinker gets those boots of travel, he's going to be a huge element in showing up and shutting down the auto attacks or right click damage that will come out of a Slardar. And therefore, top 5 is going to have to pick and choose their battles wisely or be very quick and efficient prior to those ports going off. Exactly what I said happening top side is you have Naga now bearing down on the tower in response to what's going on in the bottom lane.
Yeah, he saw everybody down there, and that gave him some green signals to go ahead and at least damage his tower a lot. I don't know if he'll be able to get it in time. I don't think there's going to be any TPs from... Actually, bottom lane is ready to go on both the support heroes, so they could TP up here if they wanted to stop the Naga Siren. But what happens when they TP? They save their tower, yeah. But he's just going to sleep, he's going to get away. So you're not actually going to be able to secure a kill from that. So I don't know if it's quite worth it. You could instead stay on the bottom lane, put some pressure down here, start your push strategy off right. Rasta is just nearing that level 6, so once he gets that, some towers will definitely start falling for top 5.
Right at the same time, you do have Pugna in the form of Fly working on mid lane. Nyx is going to respond to that. All it takes is one of these heroes to go ahead and be missing, whether it's Shanks, Pugna, etc., to get the split push going. Shanks now going on mid lane, spawning up some trees, and now the split push begins, forcing a response out of VA. Tower goes down to half. Ryan in a spot of trouble, burns away Fly's mana, but still a lot of damage being dealt as the Nether Blast comes down, takes it down. Again, another 4th of health, and they're forced to fortify a bit late here. Though, just out of deny range, the trees are actually going to push it in, and I think a little bit of poor micro by Shanks there. Now, initiation occurs. Carson jumps on in, tries to grab someone. Still, ultimate not expent. The Fly is up. Shadow Shaman is caught before he can drop his wards. He's not even level 6, so it didn't matter anyways. Able to get a bolt off as he dies, but not able to take out an opposing hero. Good tower kill there by Fly, which would have been denied, and now VA have to wonder why they didn't deny it sooner. Lycus rotating over, might yet catch Fly, but Fly again lucks out with second invis rune of the game while his team is now pressuring off bottom, and things are going to pick up rapidly here as top 5 is ready to be in push posture.
Yeah, finally bottom went in. I was concerned that bottom wasn't pushing while the mid was pushing, but they finally did get the push. They got 2 towers out of it. They did lose the top tower in the process, though, due to that Naga. So at least they got this bottom tower, so it wasn't just a better trade for VA because they did get the kill and they got the top tower. So it would have been bad, but luckily top 5 secured this bottom tower as well. So they still got a better trade out of that in the long run. And as we near the 13-minute mark, the gold graphs are almost dead even, only a 1k advantage, and that's going the way of top 5. The XP going in the way of VA, actually, just because of what I was mentioning earlier about how they really spread out their experience. So we'll see if that pays off for them. Yes, the Batrider has that initiation Blink Dagger, but we've got to see them making some things happen, especially when these pushes happen in full swing from top 5. Batrider's going to be able to single somebody out, and that's going to help them a lot.
Naga finishes up 13-minute Radiance already, has a bottle, unless that was a loan from someone else, but I don't imagine so. Yeah, so bottle, at least brown boots and Radiance at just 13 minutes in as Scar goes to town on these Ancients, already a triple stack that he's well off in digging into. So really should be at least some point of concern here for top 5 is Nature's Prophet won't have a chance to push much of anything else other than a tier 1 that he can kind of hop onto without any sort of backdoor protection, but I don't know if that's a war I would prefer to start in his position as top 5 grabs a smoke and will wander up through this dire side jungle, should run directly into this poor Naga. Naga has ult, should throw it immediately, spots it out. So well timed.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was
it's just going
good.
to be a waste of gold, but Shank's not going to want to let it lie. He's actually going to be able to get the Sprout off directly after. No one to follow him up. Radiance is a very aggressive item, and therefore he's going to fall as a result. Is able to attract the stun of a actual neutral Centaur with it, but not able to do much of anything else. Goes down before reinforcements arrive as the push brigade of top 5 goes to take down and set up on top lane. Meanwhile, bottom side, VA looking to take a tower of their own and potentially trade tier 1s with the siege unit already making his way into digging into damage on bottom side.
It's hard to run from top 5 with their heroes, not only the sprint on Slardar, but he also has the Blink Dagger, and that's just going to give so much chase to the top 5. On top of that, you have the A ult that can snipe people out. You have even by some miracle the Pugna Ward that could actually kill people if they're running and happen to cast a spell. You never know, it could happen. And then there's Furion, his ultimate if you have vision, or just TPing and killing somebody. So a lot of chase options for top 5. So VA is going to have to be really careful here. Scar is going to come to this top lane and try and fend it off, and he's the best hero to do so on all of VA. He's got the March of the Machines. It's fully leveled up. He was preparing for this push strategy, and he's doing a successful job so far of defending that top lane. Unfortunately, he couldn't defend the Nyx on bottom, who did just go down.
I think it's safe to say that it's acceptable to lose your tier 1 towers 15 minutes into a game, especially one that has so much push potential out of a lineup like top 5. We still have yet to see Rasta's Mass Serpent Ward being too utilized or overly utilized, as Naga again initiated on in a whole lot of trouble. AA ultimate gonna follow up and actually connect, kill her immediately. Carson now in trouble, ulting Fly. Fly caught up, finally dies, and Slardar and Shanks are in the background trying to look for yet another kill. They will find it in the form of Crystal Maiden. Good stun, little bit almost out of range there and out of position, but still manages to land it and get the kill on CM nonetheless. Had that not connected, Slardar was in a position where would have died to the follow-up from Tinker, and Ryan Noob not able to do much of anything to support his team out at the end of this particular fight. And therefore, Slardar earns back up to proper trim for fighting, and it looks like top 5 has asserted decent control over this game, taking that one handily and going up 9-3 with 3 towers against just the 1 tower that they yielded to Naga, and maybe prove they weren't worried this entire time with awarding that Naga free farm, because it doesn't seem like Lycus has used it so much to his advantage. I think they should have tried to slow the game down and potentially just thrown up some illusions, tried to farm with the early Radiance. It is so very powerful against early game creeps that they could have stopped pushes in their tracks alone from those images. Don't you agree?
I do agree. The thing that worries me the most out of VA right now is not only the Naga and how, well, hold on, Batrider is about to get caught out here, gets banished out, blinks away. The banish is not going to deal any damage to stop that blink dagger, but hot on his heels is going to be the Chinese guy or Japanese guy. I don't know what symbols those are. We're just going to call them symbols, I guess, but he gets away again, surprisingly. Might just run into Nyx though. Ryan Noob gets spotted out by the Sentry Ward. Fly cannot capitalize on that in time. Shadow Shaman not available for that either. Whatever almost goes down, but lives to see another day for now. Naga Siren setting up the ultimate, or maybe just trying to bail our team out. Gets hit by the A ultimate. The rest of the heroes converging in here, but they probably don't want to go into this. They're walking right into a March of the Machines and a tower, so Ancient Apparition does manage to secure the kill with that A ult, I'm assuming. Is that what it was?
No, he just walked right into a massive
Alright. Okay, never mind then.
I don't know. Maybe he thought all signals were go and he was going to grab onto someone and just jet him on over to that tier 2 tower. But fortunately for top 5, didn't quite work out that way as the push continues. Blink in from Slardar will catch 3. The follow-up, though, is enough to take him down almost immediately. Now Shadow Shaman walking immediately into Flying Zebra, who is just decimating him with that ultimate. So CM dealing a lot of damage, at least evading the damage portion of AA's ultimate. Fly trying to stand his ground, actually gets stunned out by Ryan, and Ryan in pursuit. Lycus should secure this kill. Good blast there from Fly, trying to deal some damage. Netherward still up, going to additionally award him some more makeup gold, and now throwing the ball back into VA's court when it looked like they were in much more trouble than they actually were. March of the Machines to clear off the Furion split push. All the while, that fight was going on middle, so that's the element that you get with Tinker to even follow up. So much to fall back on. As long as VA is paying attention, they should be in a decent position to contest the game, and the later it goes, the better it is for them.
I think it's going to be troublesome for this Nature's Prophet to actually push safely in this game, because Tinker, he does already have the Boots of Travel farmed up, but once he gets a sheep stick farmed up, what is the Nature's Prophet going to do? Tinker will TP in fast, because Boots of Travel allow you to TP a little bit faster than any other form of TP. So he gets there quickly, and then he blinks after you, and he sheeps you, so you're not going to be able to get away with your teleportation either. So I think for Shanks, it's going to be a little bit scarier of a game than he might be used to, just because I feel that Tinker is going to be able to shut him down. But what I wanted to mention while you were talking about that Naga Siren having the Radiance pretty early is, other than her ultimate, she's still a fairly squishy hero, and I think that's the same tale for all the rest of the heroes on VA. I mean, just look at them. You have no one above 1,100 HP pool. And I think that's really scary when you're VA, when you have no front line, no tank. You really have to rely on that Batrider initiation. But Slardar goes in, stuns out too. Ryan goes down. The Crystal Maiden is going to be soon to follow. Does go down as well. 2 easy support kills for top 5. And this might signal for them to be able to go ahead with another push.
And while top 5 haven't used their resources to their maximum potential, one thing they have used well is smoke. Even though Naga tried to get away from an earlier smoke gank, they were successful still in the sense that they spotted her out and they were able to get Shanks on her case and kind of take her down in the end. And so not using the jungle, I guess you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to go 2 for 2 in that instance. They go 1 for 2, and it's plenty enough to take control of this game so far when it looked like VA would have an easier path to a win, sitting with the Naga almost rounding out 10k in net worth. Nature's Prophet, the closest on top 5's team at 8.4, but Tinker follows that up at about 8.3 himself, and you have to wonder what is going on with VA's team fight, and it's coming down to smoke ganks, which is unfortunate for them because all they need to really do is kind of sit by, and Slardar spots out Naga. I don't think he realized it until later. A bunch of pings come out to follow it up, and Naga looks like she's going to go down again. Shatter will, in fact, connect, and I think it's enough to take her down. Regardless of what happens here, 2 blinks forward, and they make sure to secure the kill. Shadow Shaman picking it up with the Aether Shock.
They trade for Nature's Prophet, but that Naga pickoff was definitely the much better trade. When Naga's down and the ultimate is used, that gives top 5 a lot of options. And as we near this mid part of the game, is 21 minutes into the game, I think top 5 is doing what they need to be doing. If you see a passive team that it has a push strategy, they can't be passive, is what I'm trying to say. They have to continue with the mobility and the action, and they are doing just that. So I think they're gearing up for a really decent mid game, but I do fear that if they get this to the 35-minute mark, so it could be scary. Now Symbols goes in, stuns out too. Tuskar, or Scar rather, trying to get away. Carson taking a lot of damage, more TPs coming in. Can they secure kill? Ryan stuns out 2 or 3, fly in there as well, doing a lot of damage with his AoEs. 1 for 1 trade right now, but Ryan's going to go down. Ultimate hits from Nature's Prophet. Scar does TP out and make it out alive. Nature's Prophet TPing in. He's hoping to secure a kill on somebody, but Batrider is out of the fray. He's still amped, so they know he's still on his heels. Shanks is after this kill, and he is working hard to get it, but unfortunately it's going to slip right through his grasp. And Fly actually goes down to the Naga Siren image, unfortunately for him. And your mic is muted, Ever.
It's not. I was just thought you were finishing your thought up, man.
No, I'm done.
No, I can't even believe that Batrider got away. There's so many awkward transpirances happen in that particular team fight. Just really awkward to see that Batrider didn't get taken down. He had the correct sprout, but I feel like Shanks's range is long enough on Prophet to go ahead and secure that kill, but he instantly spawned trees, but the trees don't obviously spawn up top, therefore it ruined his vision immediately, where he may have been afforded the opportunity to follow through with an auto attack. So not too sure what that was about either. Like Nature's Prophet, from where his trees are, he sprouted up here. That would have been enough to take down the Batrider, or am I wrong?
No, I think so. I think he had enough damage in order to actually secure that. But
why did he instantly spawn trees?
Did he not? Did he have vision? That's what.
Yeah, he sprouted up there. That's what I'm saying. He sprouted up there and then made trees out of it. I'm confused. I don't believe.
Maybe he didn't think he grabbed them. Maybe he thought he had missed. Oh no! Slardar caught out of position in the midst of 3 heroes. Gets lassoed back, pulled away from any allies that could be coming. But unfortunately for him, there's not really too many people nearby. He does stomp out 2. He's gonna man up and fight this. He has the BKB. The reinforcements do arrive. Rasta in there helps secure the kill. Now they're gonna chase down the Crystal Maiden. Nick's down Crystal Maiden now to follow. Batrider should be the only one that lives through this, and now Scar in the fray almost gets picked off, but barely gets away.
That was ugly for VA yet again.
Got turned around.
Yeah, thinking that they had that assured Slardar kill. He's getting so big that he will be relevant if this pattern continues until the mid game, where I mean, now we're at the earlier stages of the mid game. It is 24 minutes in. You're talking about times that you shouldn't be able to take an Ancient Hill. But again, Slardar is so aggressive, right on top of Carson, on top of the tier 2. No response out of VA. VA was about to have Ryan port right into that, but instead are unable to do so. ultimate from Rasta, laid down on the tier 2, won't quite stretch over to the tower except for one single ward, but it was meant to trap out Lycus, which his team kind of didn't follow suit. As a result, Scar able to slow things down with March to the Machines right on top of the tower and see what they can do in terms of securing their vested interest on this mid tier 2. They still haven't yielded any of the tier 2 towers in any lane at all, and you see Tinker doing a fantastic job of trying to slow the game down best he can, and already worried for himself blinks over into the trees to make sure that there isn't a Prophet waiting around. Meanwhile, his team again in trouble. Ryan going down to Slardar, who continues to just run rampant throughout the entirety of the map. It doesn't matter what side of the map he's on, he just keeps on capitalizing on horrible positioning, unfortunately for VA.
It's an interesting game, Edward, because we see this push line up for top 5, but they can't push. But what they can do is pick off heroes, and they're doing that so successfully. And the only thing I think that's really halting this and stopping it is, for one, the Tinker being able to fend off the lanes, but also Lycus. Check out his farm. He's at 12, almost 13,000 in the net worth. He has 248 creep kills. That's absolutely insane for Naga Siren. I mean, he is making things happen this game. He's going to be that hard carry that VA needs, and as long as they can continue to defend these towers and at least not lose too many kills in the process, he should be alright. And now Symbols goes in. Hexes 1 doesn't realize Ryan is there with an invisibility on that Vendetta, but Shanks is now in trouble as well. He's tried to help out the Shadow Shaman, but it just didn't work out, and this is not good for top 5. They made those small pickoffs throughout the whole game, but now they're losing some heroes in the process, and that's definitely not what you want to see. Now top lane Carson.
Oh, what was that, Carson?
Oh yeah, there are no words.
Yeah,
that was
no,
really bad.
Ports immediately into a Slardar who is just continuing to spiral out of control. He's been involved in 15 kills out of the 20 kills for his team. That's where I was going with the 20 number, so you know I'm not insane. So all but 5 kills Slardar has been involved in, and really he's been not just an influential part of those kills, but more than likely the main reason for those kills, because of an early Blink Dagger allowing him a better movement. And I thought he would be able to get shut down, being that Slardar early on doesn't have a lot of HP, but he made up for it at this point. Having been involved in so many kills, his net worth now stretches past the 10k marker at 11k for his team, nearly tied up with Tinker. Naga Siren still leading the way. I have to say, I don't know if there's anything VA can do to kind of shut down what top 5 is doing to them consistently. Even though they traded away those 2 heroes on bottom, they can afford those types of losses, which is unfortunate for VA, because although it is a victory, it's a small one at best, because they still managed to lose that top tier 2 tower because they weren't able to get back. I think it was unnecessary to have Tinker TP in, but he couldn't exactly set up on top. It was already too late at the same time. So just things aren't going VA's way momentum-wise, and they really need things to kind of shift over if they would like to continue participating in this game. And you have to imagine, the later this game stretches, yes, the better it is for them, as we have Ryan right on top of this Shadow Shaman, throws up Carapace, not able to get a stun away. Now he's in a whole lot of trouble, gonna get CC down. Look at the right-click damage Shanks is putting out with just simply that Necro 3. Able to take him away with a couple shock kind of thrown in there just for some additional bursts. So again, things not going VA's way no matter what way you spin it. Slaughter looking to initiate. AA ult connects to Carson. Carson on the run. Naga forced to pop ultimate, but into a BKB. Slaughter now Slaughter right on top of Batrider, manages to finish him off when he thought he was going to get away. 8 second BKB spent to get that kill, but well worth it in terms of Slaughter now building towards an AC. And nearly halfway there.
I am such a fan of Slardar as a hero. He's so well-rounded. He's tanky enough to be on the front lines. He has no issues blinking in and not getting picked off in the process of doing so. On top of that, just hover over Slithering Crush. Just look at it. You have 2 seconds of stun, 2.5 seconds of stun, and 2 seconds of slow. That's 4.5 seconds of total disables. So it's insane, and it's AoE on top of that. And then you have the amplified damage, which is so good for him too. He's just like a total initiation hero. He packs a really powerful punch, and he just stuns everybody out. I honestly don't think you could ask for a more rounded hero. It's insane. And I'm so happy that players are picking him up, and he's getting played so well on top of that.
I mean, Tinker's been building this Dagon for a while. It's now level 4. I don't get where he's going with this. I really don't. Does he want to just like snuff out the Prophet immediately? This doesn't add up to me for what VA is doing. Unfortunately, they're going to find themselves in a lot of trouble if they continue on that path. That would be like Nyx getting a Dagon. What good does it do against a team of very well-rounded heroes? You have a Pugna to worry about on top of all of this. Stun from Ryan, misses. Tinker there to try and back him up. Carapace expent, not able to follow it up as Fly just yet manages to get the ultimate off, but breaks it around the tree line with Tinker still continuing to follow up. Nether Ward dropped down, going to kind of reveal out some positioning, and therefore VA backs up without the kill on Fly, and still not able to grab any sort of pick. Top 5 not making it easy as we trudge on through this game. Taking a look at some additional items, Prophet, as I was mentioning, had Necro 3 earlier on, finishes up his Shadow Blade right there. You have Ags already completed on the AA, with Pugna heading that route from the look of it, and actually grabs an ultimate orb. And what does that signal to you, Proof? Sheep stick?
It's got to be sheep or Lincolns. That's all I could think of, honestly. It's got to be one of those two. I think sheep would be beneficial. It kind of helps to shut down the Naga. You can lock him down for longer, which is going to be pretty beneficial. It's got to be that. It's got to be a sheep.
Maybe they decided not to go the carry route because Slaughter was so big, and they do have that afforded option as a result. Naga still is barely managing to try and micro these illusions, but she's back in base, becomes much easier, throws up some AoE on the top side to try and slow down what Prophet is doing there. While it looks like top 5 is converging on bottom as well as VA, they may yet be able to pick off Shanks here if Shanks isn't careful. They're going to notice the Necro minions. Ryan right on top of Shanks in a matter of moments here. Tinker to follow up, blinks in. Slaughter is there, BKB activated, and now almost able to take down 2 at the cost of his Prophet, and that's fine by him. Necro minion still doing a lot of damage. Tinker going to take a whole lot if he manages to get the kill on the physical one, and he does. Scar now checks out of the fight as a result of killing that Necro minion. Meanwhile, Riverside, Fly going one-on-one with Lycus over in the river, dealing a lot of damage with that AoE, but he manages to get to Crepify on himself in order to go Ethereal and not have the physical damage dealt in the Radiance. Not enough to burn him through, but manages, finally, is Naga to get him down with Illusion. So unfortunately, still goes down, but they trade 3 for 2 in the benefit of top 5, simply because Slaughter was able to eat through so many heroes and actually partake in solo kill XP in that fight. Again, I just can't be surprised at the results of some of these fights, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, it looks like VA is getting some good initiations off. It always somehow gets turned around. Usually with Slaughter blinking in with a BKB, there's no option for Siren to bounce out of that fight with the sleep, and it's really been making things happen. It's 25-13, which is a pretty big difference. 32 minutes to this game, and the gold graphs aren't really showing that big of a gap so far, 58k to 53k, so there is a lead for sure for top 5, but the experience is where it really comes into play, sitting at a pretty decent lead, 63k to 51k. So as long as top 5 continues on this path, they should be alright. Carson gonna get hit by AA ult, stunned out from the Slaughter as well, but might not actually secure the kill. Shatter might just work. Nope, he's getting healed up. He's gonna be just fine through that. In the backfield, though, Nick's coming in. Ryan is really out for blood this game, but can't ever manage to kill anybody off. Unfortunately, Naga Siren ultimate is popped and no BKB on the Sword, so he does get stuck in it. He's going to get blitzed out here quite possibly. There it goes. Really nice Dagon coming out from that Tinker, as well as Batrider doing some damage there as well. AA goes down in the process as well, and now Sword back into the fight, and he gets picked off. Wait, did Sword not die? He didn't die. I thought he died earlier. My apologies.
Aegis, Bruvage.
He did have Aegis.
Yeah, he Aegis and now Fly in a lot of trouble. Netted down again. They're going to be able to expend the burst. Tinker going to rejoin the fray from the back. So you see Scar finally coming in. The Dagon paid off in that particular team fight because he was able to get it off so many times that it made Slardar's HP, once the BKB was off, look like a joke, and things not looking good after that particular fight with top 5, with Prophet on the bottom side trying to rat out a little bit on his own, but Tinker, wise to exactly what is going on, will get the march up and running and out of middle where he is no longer needed. Doesn't really provide a push element for his team, but that's where the Naga comes into play, and it allows him to defend the entire time. They don't need him in fights, and he can actually lay down 2 marches, show up to a fight, and come back and do the same thing over again, all within under maybe 45 seconds.
And I actually kind of like the Dagon picked up before the Sheepstick or the Manta. It gives them kind of a more of a mid-game presence, and he knows that he can farm those items up later on in the game. Right now, the Dagon does help burst down some heroes that might not have that big HP pool yet, like someone like a Shadow Shaman. Nature's Prophet does, Sardar does as well, but Pugna even is sitting at pretty low HP as well as AA, so it gives them options for bursting down those heroes, and it can stop that Nature's Prophet push pretty effectively as well.
Right now, you see VA headed back and regrouping. Nyx doesn't have much in the way of items. Taking a look again, we'll do a checkup on the gold graphs where we have top 5 in the lead marginally. They have been this entire game, but finally yielding some advantage back. The experience graph, though, has dipped back towards VA. You see 10K in favor of top 5, but this is the first time they've stopped the avalanche that has come against them as a result of that particular, it's really the one and only team fight that has occurred. A lot of it has just been misinitiation from both sides and picks. So the first real team fight goes in favor of VA. No surprise there, as they do have a better team fight lineup, and top 5 is catered towards pushing. It's 35 minutes into the game. This is where we thought things would slow down for top 5. And they have so far, so all according to plan for VA, despite a lot of hiccups incurred at the beginning of the game. And in terms of items, you have Tinker finally going into the Sheepstick. We'll keep an eye on that. Crystal Maiden still not contributing much. Taking a look, Batrider has Gem, and other than that, Pugna finishes up. Sheepstick should go into Ags, following shortly thereafter with Shadow Shaman getting a pipe. Nature's Prophet grabs his Scythe, and he's going to start dealing a ton of right-click damage as a result.
Yeah, there's enough right-click damage from Sardar and Nature's Prophet that I kind of like that Pugna did go into that Sheepstick before anything else. It just gives them another form of lockdown. And the damage is secured so far for top 5, so I don't think there is any huge necessary means to do that. But this smoke might yield something for top 5 as they sneak around. They're looking in the woods, but unfortunately for top 5, there's no one there. Fortunately for VA, they are not in the jungle. They're hugging their towers. They expected a push to possibly come on through. So this smoke isn't really gonna make anything happen, unfortunately, unless they can sneak all the way down to the secret shop, but that's quite a long ways. It will allow them to ward and deward, but that's just about it. They're still continuing to farm, and I gotta imagine that it might be a better choice to try and put more pressure. The Smoke Ink was an attempt at doing that, but it didn't get anything out of that, unfortunately, so we're gonna see what plan B top 5 will have for us.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm going to update the site on Join Dota at the same exact time. I just noticed that WWD was the one planning to be up there. So I'm going to do that real quick while you continue on here.
Ryan Noob still around looking for somebody to kill. AA is here nearby, but it's a Vendetta damage into a Impel into a Mana Burn. It's honestly not that much, and it's not going to kill AA off, that's for sure. So I'm not sure what he's quite trying to do. If he did have that Dagon, maybe level 2 or 3, he might be able to pick off people like the Rasta or the AA. But unfortunately, it's just not working for him at this point. He is a great setup stun. If you can land that Impel on 2 or 3 heroes at least, then it's really good. And if you can pick somebody off like that Shadow Shaman before he throws down those wards, that will help out your team quite a bit as well. So VA by all means is not out of this game. Top 5 got off to a really good start, and 26-16 looks pretty scary on the surface, but when you really go deep inside of this, I think VA is starting to pull this game back into their favor. And now they do have pretty decent vision all over the map, and this does allow them to attempt to get Roshan here if they so dare to do it. Ryan is here scouting things out, and Crystal Maiden, Batrider, not quite the heroes to do it, but luckily Lycus is nearby. He's going to help out with this. They might be able to get it. If anybody comes this direction to try and stop this Roshan, VA is going to know immediately, so they can back up. They do get spotted out by the AA ultimate, and immediately they have to back up. There's no way they can try and fight through that AA blast. Ryan might get spotted out here, especially if there's a sentry ward laid down in time. Ooh, the minions do just barely die. Lycus initiates with his Naga Siren ultimate. This means there's no backup for VA to get out of this. They might not need it though. Fly signaled out immediately with the lasso, pulled back and dies. Nature's Prophet goes down before he can dish out any damage. Slardar netted. It goes through the BKB, so he is out of this fight as well. Gets taken down, and what a fight for VA. This is what they needed to do. Rasta goes down now as well. AA is the lone survivor out of that with no losses for VA. That was a huge win for VA. They could do Roshan if they wanted to at this point with everybody down, but it looks like they're going to opt to instead take these two tier 2 towers, and this is going to give them so much gold. And just by that fight alone, they are easily back into this game, now winning in the gold score. Not quite winning in experience, but they are so close at this point, and they have really turned this around. They had such great defense in the earlier part of the game. They didn't really get hindered on their main heroes, specifically the Naga and the Tinker. They were able to stay up there and continue farming with the best of them, and I think that is what has really kept VA into this game. So,
yeah, no, I'm just gonna join back in. It's gonna be too hard
Alright.
to edit the teams. At least I got the stream back up to play CEVO-1. I'll fix the team stuff later. It has been like half a year since I've touched the coverage side of Freaks MS control panel. I probably shouldn't be doing that in the middle of a game. I might break something.
breaking stuff.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I won't break Join Dota's front page. No.
You have
nothing
like
wrong.
50 people who have the evidence, so hopefully you didn't do anything too bad, because we have
No,
video
all I did
evidence.
I shaded up to play CEVO-1. That's all I have done. So taking a look at the fights, it's just awkward to me that the advantage that top 5 had is almost been squandered away at this point. I imagine them to continue on their dominance. They smoke ganked, and you saw all of those great things occur, but at the same time, they never finished. And why they didn't finish is kind of perplexing at this stage. AA Ultimate spotting out Naga while I ramble on in the meantime, but the reason why it's so perplexing is because they had the means to finish off. They had such a steep gold as well as experience advantage, the experience being the more important factor, upwards of 12,000 at one stage of the game. Now gold graph dipping back into VA's favor simply because Naga Siren is sitting on 25k net worth. One-on-one, Naga Siren is worth substantially more than is a Nature's Prophet. The one I would be worried about is actually the sleeper in someone like the Tinker, who has now finished up enough gold to attain his sheepstick and will become that much better in these team fights. Second attempt, again, VA on Roshan, spotted out by the AA Ultimate, coming off of cooldown, and still top 5 not willing to make a move, but neither is VA into the pit, seeing maybe if they can bait up a fight, as top 5 have kind of grouped up together. Shanks able to join on the fly, and just really all around weird position for top 5, don't you agree? I mean, they were dominating the game. They should have easily been
Yeah.
able to take the hill 25 minutes into the game.
Yeah, they went for those pickoffs instead, and I think some of those pickoffs that they did could have then transitioned into a push, and it just didn't happen. And I'm not too sure why, but I think they're paying the price for it now, because at this point it's going to be very, very hard to push high ground. Unless they get off a team fight or 2 or 3 crucial kills in a team fight, then they could push, but they've got to make that happen. And with this Roche attempt continuing to go down, if the Aegis does go to VA, it looks to be very scary for top 5. But they might try and make something happen here with the smoke. Gonna run across the main first, almost gets spotted out. No, they get Scar. He's just singled out immediately, gets blitzed down right off the bat. Carson goes in for initiation, grabs out Slardal, portals him back, but nobody's around. There's gonna be no damage there. Now Naga Siren's song is popped. I think it's time to bail. I don't know if you fight this.
Definitely not time to fight this. They are going to anyway. Slaughter right on top of Lycus. AA trying to follow up with that ultimate. Manages to connect at least with the health regeneration portion, and Lycus is in a lot of trouble. Splits just before getting sprouted. Pugna finding the correct illusion immediately and snuffing out Lycus, and therefore VA on the retreat. Scar trying to make sure that Slardar doesn't follow his path to retreat with Flying Zebra in a lot of trouble if Slardar continues up that chase. Instead, they are going to award themselves another Roshan kill. An unfortunate turn of events for VA taking that fight. I think they could have done much better in backing off and baiting it on through. Tinker laying down March of the Machines won't matter. Look at the armor debuff causing so much of a problem, and Crystal Maiden immediately getting taken out from that hilltop, with Naga Illusions trying to get in there and cause some sort of disruption, not before Slaughter is able to pick up the Aegis and make sure that the Aegis deny attempt does not go through. So VA in a sense of trouble, or a sort of trouble, considering the fact that they've just given away yet another Roshan, but still sitting 44 minutes into the game, it becomes harder and harder for top 5 to finish it off. It's just going to be a matter of who has a better team fight and who does not have buybacks, left at their disposal. And it is one of those situations where you saw, as you mentioned, in the draft, top 5 expends those ultimates, and instead of walking away, VA continues to fight, and it was a train wreck as a result. I don't think there's any fair way to put it.
Yeah, they should have backed up when they had the Naga ultimate pop. Then I'm not too sure why they did. They kind of hung around, and maybe it was just miscommunication in the events chat or whatever. But yeah, some heroes went in, some heroes left, and I think it was just completely miscommunicated on what they should have actually done. And it was very clear to us as casters that they should have run, but maybe it wasn't quite too sure on their end what they should have done. But it was a big loss for them. It's going to be really hard to come back from that. But the silver lining of that is still that Nagasira and Tinker are getting decent farm throughout this whole game, and I feel at this point Slardar might start to fall off a little bit against that Naga and Tinker. I mean, Naga's items are awesome. He's just finished out the butterfly. Great tank ability, really good damage. Still has the ultimate for any bailout that they need. And I think top 5, they won that Roshan fight. They got Roshan, but they couldn't push after that. They were so hurt, and if they could have at least pushed after that, they probably could have broken high ground because there were enough heroes dead on VA's side. But now they couldn't. They're going to have to wait for another opportunity, and we'll see if VA allows them that opportunity or not.
Don't you think it's interesting to at least say that Shadow Shaman, I believe it was about 25, 26 minutes into the game, had placed his wards right about here next to the tier 2 and therefore wasn't in range to actually strike damage down. This tier 2 has become very problematic for top 5. They haven't been able to take it as a result, and it's allowed VA a lot of opportunities in that first one team fight on mid as a result of having that tier 2 there. Just weird how little things come back to haunt you. You know, where Shadow Shaman placed that ultimate, he's the only one, as mentioned, who has the ability to evade what Tinker does in shutting down the push, and therefore has caused so much time, I guess, wasted more than anything. A lot of time has been wasted in top 5 not being able to crack the high ground. Still, talking in terms of items, Tinker's just going to get better from here on out. He had the sheep stick finished up, has 500 to his name. I imagine he could even go for a shotgun and be fine at this point if he so desired. Additional CC would also work, but anything he goes is going to prove to make it that much harder against top 5, who are all grouped up right now, finally headed towards this mid lane and should get a fair amount of damage, as at least the range necro creep was wailing on that for a while, but Lycus not wanting to let that happen. So VA still kind of meandering around here, taking things slow, both sides guessing where one another's at, and still at a relative stalemate. So going forward, how many more items can Slardar get to be relevant? You already have Naga again, who's finished up Heart. She has just finished up a Butterfly. She's very hard to connect to, especially considering you have a Tinker in the background that is going to throw up the laser, and the laser mischance is nothing to scoff at, especially considering that Slardar only has a 4-second BKB to his name. And I think for the list of problems that top 5 has, time and that BKB are the largest 2 threats for them losing this game, at least for me.
I have to agree. Unfortunately, I can't defend that in any way. I do feel like Slardar is going to start falling off, unfortunately. Shank's trying to make stuff happen, but the TP does come on fourth from Scar. He gets back to his base, and both teams just kind of figuring out what they can do at this point. Ryan is still trying to make things happen, hunting down Shadow Shaman at any point possible, hexes him out with his Blink Dagger, gets in there. There's no teams nearby. The AO will follow through, and nothing's going to happen. Ryan backs off, Symbols backs off, and nothing can happen. And we need one good solid pickoff from either team, and that will signal a push to happen. But at this point, the teams are playing it pretty safe. We're nearing the 50-minute mark, and not much has happened. Now top lane, Scar, he's going to be in trouble. Gets bashed to death by the Slardar. Tries to TP away now. I thought that Shanks was coming in for this, but no, he got stunned out, so he couldn't actually finish off his TP, and they secure a kill. So a 1-for-1 trade there. Interesting. At the same cooldown timer as well, so sitting at the same level.
Yeah, in a lot of trouble, I would say, is top 5. The game still progressing through. Both sides bunched up. Slardar initiating. Carson now going to get tagged with this ultimate. Lycus trying to ult himself, but it won't matter. Slardar should pursue. Does. Shanks now with the ultimate going off. Manages to catch Zebra out. Sheepstick applied. CM in trouble. Manages to somehow get away as they call off the pursuit. Instead, in favor of this mid-tier 2, which has stood all the way to the 50-minute marker against such a heavy push lineup. They will not have the Mass Serpent Ward to crack high ground, but they should have enough, especially considering how many items Slardar has, and they're not willing to let this Aegis go to waste. 17k net worth against the Naga's 29 doesn't exactly compare, but it won't matter as they continue to trudge onto the high ground. Necro 3 units up, as well as a blast expent immediately. So fortification forced out by VA with 2 down. Do they want to risk initiating here? And it looks like they may yet. Slardar going to take the first crack at it though. Blinks over to the tier 4s, and AA ult as a result misses. Lycus trying to get involved, but just clear out the creeps, which is exactly what they need to do with 2 very key heroes down. Tinker being the most important out of the 2, but Batrider at least able to shut down someone like Slardar regardless of whether or not he has his BKB at the ready. Again, Siren Song spent immediately. This time it's time to strike back. Fly is in a bad position, as well as AA if they manage to get in. Mistiming the Q. Siren Song goes off, not able to quite get the Crystal Nova to register for the damage. So Lycus, as a result, locked down. Tinker's back, so is Carson. Carson trying to grab hold of someone, still hasn't grabbed anyone, just BKB active, and Shadow Shaman, it is very late, goes down, and he is the only casualty for top 5 who have taken the tier 3 and moved on to greener pastures and out of the fray.
Yeah, that was a really good push for them. That was a lot of money. 2 towers going down. They didn't secure the racks, but there's definitely still time for that. That was a really good push for them. They also managed to get 2 heroes in the process of losing that Shadow Shaman. So a really good fight for them. I think that was great. 97k on the gold graph to 93k to 97k. I don't know where I got 23k. That would be a pretty big stomp. XP graph is just way in favor of top 5, so that's kind of scary for VA. We've got to see some really solid defense coming out of them. But as we were saying, that Slardar might start falling off. He has not fallen off just yet. He might. Do you think it's the best option to even renew the BKB and buy another one? At this point, he could sell the urn, get another item, but really it's the BKB. If you get that back up to 10 seconds, I think that could really make things happen for top 5. He has the money to do so.
I think the BKB does need to be refreshed. It just has to happen if he wants to be able to crack that high ground. It proves to be problematic the longer for VA, the longer that BKB does remain active, because it shuts Tinker out. The only one you'd have to worry about then would be a Batrider, who has this awkward knack for living. He's so very quick, and now Ryan about to get caught out on this bottom side, should still get caught. He's in the middle of 5. Slaughter going to piece it all together with Shanks and company, and finally they take him down. So Slaughter playing out of control even at the 52-minute marker. But yeah, I would say he has to refresh the BKB in my mind to crack the high ground efficiently. If not, it will be a set of pickoffs that lead to a good rack situation, or maybe yet another Roshan fight that would just have to be awkwardly positioned for VA. But they've proven that they aren't as capable, I would say is probably the correct word, of taking Roshan down. Or at least in a favorable position fashion.
It's going to be a really critical Roshan. I think whoever gets Roshan and wins that Roshan fight is going to be set to win. Will they actually win the game at that point? I don't know, because it's really going to depend rather heavily on if there's any buybacks. And at this point, the only people sitting with buybacks on VA's side is going to be that Naga and the Tinker, and then Slardar for top 5. So if there's no buybacks and this fight goes poorly for either team, it could easily be game. But if we can get some money down and get these buybacks available, then they should be all right. But Roshan is going to be attempted by Lycus. He's got his team nearby. They're not spotted out just yet, but Lycus is taking quite a beating from Roshan, as well as that AA blast coming down, and that's going to be a full 17 seconds that debuff will be on Naga. So it's going to be a hefty damage amount. Luckily, the heart is going to get her back up to a fighting stance. And I don't think she can continue doing Roshan. Top 5 is just in the area. It's too risky at this point, and it's going to be a stalemate for a little bit over this Roshan. Both teams really want him.
It's going to be the determining factor, at least for VA. If they win it, it's probably lights out against top 5 here. If they lose it, though, all the more trouble for them to get into, and it will allow the opportunity for top 5 to crack the high ground. Looking at the buyback status, at least of the VA squad, Naga is the only one with capacity to do so, unless the team fight kind of goes 50-50, affording some more gold over to some of those support heroes for VA. So Naga scouting things out, seeing what they can get done. Fly gets baited into throwing his ult up immediately, but probably does it intentionally to take care of business. And now you see Slaughter looking to see if he can pick off Crystal Maiden, who's a bit out of position, as both teams now kind of have vision of one another, with Carson equally up on that high ground in question. So Shanks, as a result, goes over to mid lane, with Tinker still kind of pushing away. So Scar top side will mow that down and continue the push for his side, and still a stalemate. I have to imagine that top 5 really just want to wait over Roshan because they recognize the importance, but at the same time, Nature's Prophet could probably be making a lot of things happen in additional lanes at the same, while his team is smoked up even here. So smoke up, we'll see if they can connect to something. Carson won't yet see it as he hasn't popped Firefly. The heroes get revealed, so they know someone is close by. So Slaughter waiting to initiate against the Tinker, who's around the corner, but Tinker gets away. They grab Shadow Shaman immediately. He's not going to be able to throw down the Serpent Wards if he goes down quick enough. Still not able to get it up, though he blew his BKB. Shanks now trying to lay into Lycus. Lycus still able to tank through. So much health. Finally goes down. Not able to get the Siren Song down. Therefore, Shanks taking out heroes left and right. Pugna backing him up for a triple kill, with Ryan still desperately trying to have his team cling on to life, and this forces the hand of Lycus to buy back, and VA going to forfeit yet another Roche attempt that they probably could have gotten. The only way this could go sour is if Naga is able to throw up the ultimate, which has been saved until now. So at this point, the Siren Song goes up. Ryan gets involved. Carson right on top of 3. Shanks going to be the one picked off, presumably here. Immediately, Sheep sticked out and chasing down Carson. Carson goes to the high ground, and they manage to grab Fly. Fly goes down now. Slardar in a lot of trouble. Triple kill for Carson. Jesus. Of all things to happen, they win that fight, engaging so awkwardly and still managing to just pick off Shanks, who's probably the biggest playmaker at this stage of the game for top 5.
That was 3 versus 4 too. You didn't have the Tinker there. You didn't have the Crystal Maiden there either, but that's not too big of a deal. But the Tinker not being there was a huge deal, and they still managed to win that fight. That was really, really awesome for VA. I mean, that's just insane. Unfortunately, he couldn't finish off Roshan in time because of the Shanks buyback and getting into it. But he's going to get picked off again. And if he doesn't have buyback, if he gets killed her, this is going to be really bad news for top 5. Carson trying to man fight him, does manage to do so. Chris made it with the ultimate. They're both going to try and run away now. Luckily for them, Lycus does have that Naga Siren ultimate, pops it, but Shadow Summon BKB, it runs out. Unfortunately, Tinker is here, and this looks bad for Slardar. He blinks out. He says, see ya, Shadow Shaman. I can't die. And that is the truth. He cannot die. He's the only one alive other than AA.
Oh, man, if Carson only knew.
Can the creeps see him?
No,
okay.
Carson has not had a good game up until this point, unfortunately for VA, but now all of a sudden he just turns on this magical button that we did not know existed for him, and he grabs everyone twice in a row. He murders Shanks, the key element to cracking VA, and now they're not able to shut down Naga as a result, and it looks like Slardar will get caught out. Carson again finding out Slardar thinking he could kill him in time. Lycus is on top of him, and man fight ensues, but it's going to be more backup, at least for the side of VA, and they will take him down. Tinker comes in last second to secure the kill, and Roshan delayed, sitting at 3k HP all by his lonesome, with Nature's Prophet still not up to split push. As a result, they're able to make fights like that happen and have no consequence or penalty. Just, did you imagine Carson was going to play to this level 58 minutes into the game?
Yeah, he's made some really big plays lately. Him and Lycus are making things happen in the later parts of these games. And I still can't get over how much Lycus has farmed this game. He's sitting at 36,000 net worth. But he's maxed out at this point. He's got 8,000 gold on top of that. So what do you do? Tinker as well, quite maxed out as well. He's going to be finishing Ashiva's here pretty shortly. After that, he has the cheese, so that's going to have to expire before he can opt to buy another item. But I think it's VA to win this game now. I think top 5's heroes have fallen off enough that VA has caught up. They've defended every single important push that top 5 has done and haven't lost the racks.
Where else does Naga go from here? Naga's 6-slotted. There's nothing else Naga can physically do at this stage of the game.
But she's making things happen with it, so she doesn't even really need more items at this point. Batrider does go in, grabs Fly, singles him out immediately. He's not going to have a chance to throw down the Ward at all. Ward is actually already up, my bad. But he does go down, and this push is just gonna march on through. I don't think there's any stopping this ever.
Yeah, Net going through the Magic immunity. Naga now making things happen with the song. Shanks, the target of choice if they can manage to get it done. Carson in the background waiting for the opportunity to jump in. Does jump in, doesn't grab Shanks, doesn't need to, just a simple flame break as Carson is going to kind of jet on out of there. Lycus responsible for the death and destruction behind the tier 3 tower, headed towards the tier 4 as Shadow Shaman is wiped away. Tinker just simply spamming some missiles up to try and take care of business while Naga shores everything up. 4 down for top 5 still, with Slardar coming up immediately, needing to defend this, but fortification at the ready is expent. We'll see if Slardar gets on top of Lycus. They want to go. Pings forthcoming. Shanks saying, go ahead, take it down. Scar right back into the fight. Full health and mana. Now a lot of trouble. AA ultimate does manage to connect, but it won't do much. Huge Dagon out of Scar takes him down. 5-man wipe, and I have to imagine that is GG for game 1.
Yeah, I don't know how they can dig themselves out. There it goes. GG is going to go ahead and be called. VA pulling out a win here. It took them 60 minutes ever, but they did it. And I do just want to take a look at the gold graph before this game ends. Look how close it is. 1,000 difference. That's all it was. The XP, not even 1,000 difference. This is insane. It was, or sorry, it is 3,000 difference. Sorry, I got a little confused there. That it was still incredibly close. 10,000 difference on the gold graphs. I'm not used to there being so many digits on the golden experience graphs, so I was a little confused there for a moment. But what a great game. I don't think you could ask for a better game to watch. Top 5 had it early on, but unfortunately could not finish off these early pushes enough to get them in a big enough lead to win in the mid and late part of the game, and VA pulled out a win.
All right, guys, for those of you sticking around, we'll load up the lobby and head into game 2. This is CEVO-Main Division. My name is Ever. You can find me on Twitter at EverX, joined alongside Prove. You can find her at ProveDota on Twitter. CEVO at CEVO or CEVO.com, where they do have an open division. Prize pool is $5,000, 8 weeks of play and playoffs. This is week 2, series 2. But 2 best of 3s each week. So VA taking game 1 against top 5, game 2 coming up